The day my father married his white moonlight as a second wife, everyone laughed at my misfortune of being born at the wrong time. When the new bride served tea to my mother had barely taken a sip before vomiting blood and collapsing unconscious. The crown prince, who had come to witness the ceremony, turned ashen-faced. Before the crowd's astonished eyes, he caught my mother in his arms and shouted urgently, "Lady Yun, fetch the imperial physician." Then he glared furiously at my father's white moonlight. "How dare you poison her right before my eyes?" In an instant, the gleaming white blades of the crown prince's guards illuminated her tear-streaked face and my father's terrified expression. Only I was filled with shock, never imagining my mother could be so formidable. It seems in my past life, I had misjudged her. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. I sensed that my mother had changed. In the past, she would have wept bitterly upon seeing father exchanging flirtatious glances with that cousin Quiuton from the other courtyard. But now, though father has been staying there for half a month, she seems completely unaware. I watched as she changed out of her plain hairpins and skirts into a flowing turquoise fairy dress, adorning her serpentine bun with a pearl hairpin, lively and charming, like a graceful young maiden. Never had I seen her look so beautiful. I remember how she used to be heartbroken and haggard over father's fickleness, or how she would be punished with self-reflection in the ancestral hall, copying scriptures, all because of her jealousy. She was always so disheveled and sorrowful. "Mother, you look so beautiful today. Where are you taking me?" My mother had developed a habit lately. She insisted on taking me everywhere with her, even when she went to bathe, making me sit nearby to play. Chin chin. "Mother is taking you out to play." Arriving at the crown prince's grand residence, mother had me play with Lanfeng while she straightened her dress and stepped through those towering gates. I peeked inside secretly. Within the palace adorned with carved beams and painted rafters sat the lofty crown prince, while my mother knelt meekly at his knees with lowered eyes. I remembered mother had always been proud. She once taught me to meet nobility with neither arrogance nor servility, yet now she. "What brings Madame Zhong to my humble abode today?" Crown Prince Li Zicha leisurely sipped tea from his elevated seat, his tone casual and teasing. "That jade green dress suits you. How old are you now?" Mother showed no trace of annoyance. Her slender, jade-like fingers gently clasped Li Zicha's hand holding the teacup, as if cradling a rare treasure. "The tea is hot, Your Highness. Do be careful." His gaze shimmered like spring water breaking through thin ice, yet his words remained sharp. "Didn't Madame Zhong once vow to abandon this prince for a lifetime with your husband? Do you regret it now? But you're already a woman who's borne 2 children. What makes you think I'd still? What are you doing?" Mother drank from the cup still held in his hand, leaving the imprint of her vermilion lips upon the bone china rim. "It's not hot anymore, Your Highness." Her voice was tender, her gaze intimate. Li Zicha's movements were rough, with a dazed look in his eyes. He stared at mother before draining the teacup in one gulp, his lips pressing against the rim still marked by her vermilion lipstick. Shattering the teacup, he yanked mother from where she knelt before him onto his lap, one hand gripping her waist, with the other hand clutching her chin. He crushed his lips against hers with savage intensity. Mother, delicate as a willow, wrapped her arms around the crown prince's neck. Startled, I covered my eyes and, after stepping farther from the gate, asked mother's maid Lanfeng, "Isn't mother supposed to have only me as her child?" Aunt Lanfeng was reluctant to speak at first, but after my repeated pleas, she finally told me with a heavy heart. "I originally had an elder sister, who had passed away at the age of 5 after falling into the water and succumbing to a high fever and convulsions. Her name was Qingqing, almost identical to mine." "I don't believe it." My eyes welled up with tears of grievance. Mother had always told me I was conceived right after she married father, calling me a doorstep blessing. So how could I possibly have an elder sister? They must have made a mistake. No wonder mother would often call my name while looking at me, yet her gaze seemed to go right through me. We were away all night, yet father never even noticed. Father laughed heartily in the courtyard, praising cousin's son Tengxiao for his mastery of poetry. "This boy takes after me." I eyed father and Tengxiao suspiciously. Their faces bore such resemblance they might have been father and son, but they said brother Tengxiao was already 10 years old. Could it be, before mother married? "Father, I can recite poetry too." I stepped forward. Father rarely showed me affection. It must be because my verses were lacking. "Though I don't know much, I can still recite a few poems." Aunt Quiuton gave a delicate laugh, patting brother Tengxiao's head as she said, "Truly your mother's daughter, always competing to be first in everything." "Auntie, you used to call my mother sister-in-law. Why have you started calling her sister now? I asked, puzzled. Auntie's face instantly showed panic, and she looked to father for help. My father averted his gaze and cleared his throat. Yunyang, your cousin has been widowed for many years, left alone and helpless. I once promised your uncle to take care of her and Tengxiao. I plan to marry your cousin next month. Regardless of status, so you two sisters can keep each other company. Aunt was about to become stepmother. I tightened my grip on mother's fingers. Before we married, you swore before me never to take a concubine. So this was your cunning plan all along, to take a second wife. You've failed to bear a son after all these years of marriage, and your care has been lacking. Ching even. Pain flashed across his face before he continued accusingly. Yunyang and I grew up together since childhood. If you can't even tolerate her, you're unworthy of being called the capital's most talented maiden. Mother took my hand, let out a cold laugh, ignored me, and walked away with a flick of her sleeve. The fatigue on her face was evident. She must not have slept well last night. Mother, I really can recite poetry, I said, taking small steps to keep up with her. Afraid she'd also think I wasn't as good as my cousin, I began reciting on my own. Goose, 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 ***. I'd eaten too much for breakfast. The rice cakes at the Crown Prince's residence are even softer and sweeter. She crouched down, looking at me with some amusement. Mother taught me, and I naturally wouldn't forget. I couldn't help but hiccup. My face burning with embarrassment. When did I ever teach you poetry? I hugged my mother and noticed red marks near her collarbone. Was there still mosquito bites in winter? Seeing she didn't remember, I insisted on carrying her on my back, hoeing the millet under midday sun. ***. Sweat drips on the soil. ***. Mother's expression suddenly turned gloomy. Was she thinking of elder sister? My sister must know a great many poems and verses. They all like her very much. Father has already moved with aunt to the largest courtyard in the estate, newly built with the most splendid views. Cousin has changed his name to Zhong Tengxiao, and is always showing off before me, boasting about all the gifts father gives him. They say his father's true son, that the entire Zhong family will be his someday, with no share for me. I hate him, toothless idiot. The servants in the manor are bustling about preparing for father's wedding. The betrothal gifts keep arriving in palanquin loads until there's no more space left in the house. Mother has been taking me to the Crown Prince's residence frequently these days. Even the Crown Prince always shares a carriage with his mother, leaving me to ride with Lanfeng. I lifted the curtain to look outside, then turned back and asked in confusion, why are all the guards staying so far from their carriage, and why does it look so bumpy? Our guards were clearly much closer. And our carriage rode smoothly. Lanfeng suddenly blushed bright red. Little children shouldn't ask so many questions. I was indignant, my face sullen. When getting off the carriage, mother seemed weak in the legs and was carried down by Li Zicha. I rushed over in a panic, grabbing his pant leg but unable to see mother's face. Mother, are you all right? Li Zicha's eyes were red at the corners, his expression carrying an indescribable, captivating allure. I don't know what mother whispered to him, but he gave a soft chuckle, his voice slightly hoarse. Your mother is fine, just tired. After explaining, he carried mother away and had the nanny take me to play. I ate pastries and played with bamboo dragonflies in the side room. While retrieving a bamboo dragonfly from the corner, I overheard the maids gossiping outside, that Zhao Muyun is no longer in the bloom of youth. Could she have cast some spell on his highness? He seeks her out almost every time he leaves the palace. Don't speak nonsense. She used to be the princess's study companion and was all but certain to become the crown princess. Then, for some reason, she married that impoverished top scholar. His highness nearly burned down the Zhong residence in his fury at the time. His highness never makes her drink contraceptive tea, and calls for water more than twice each night. At this rate, she should conceive soon. No. Could it be that the censor Zhong is meant to raise the imperial heir, or will his highness simply take her away to raise the child himself? His highness is merely unable to resist the demons of his youth. How could he possibly be serious about such a withered flower like her? Father already has the son he loves, and now mother is going to have a new child too. What about me? My bamboo dragonfly seems like it will never fly again. When the crown prince arrived, I was sitting on the edge of the bed, crying my heart out. The maids and matrons knelt in a circle on the floor. The head matron argued, Your Highness, we truly don't know why the young lady is crying. We were all standing guard outside and didn't disturb her. Li Zicha seemed inexperienced in comforting children. Stiffly, he removed the rice candy stuck to the corner of my mouth and said coldly, Stop crying. You're making a mess while eating. Humiliated and furious, I cried until I began coughing. Li Zicha was startled and picked me up to comfort me. Don't cry, don't cry, your mother will be out soon after her bath." He was so tall that suddenly the servants kneeling on the ground looked tiny, and the rockery outside no longer seemed imposing. I looked around curiously. How fascinating. For a moment, I even forgot about crying. When your mother comes, you're not allowed to tattle, understand? Tell her you had a great time playing here. Li Zicha began intimidating the child. I pouted, tears spilling from my eyes despite my efforts. Mother says lying is wrong. This place is bad. They all dislike me. I'll never come here again. He swiftly punished the talkative servant, then coaxed, "Tell me what you want. I have everything here. I want to learn poetry recitation." My words came between sobs. If I could recite poems, maybe my parents would love me. "You're just a 3-year-old child. What do you know of poetry?" "I'm 5 years old." All right, 5 years old. Now recite." A copy of 1,000 Poets was placed before me. Overcome with sorrow, I looked at him through tearful eyes. "I don't know how to read. I had just returned home when my uncle came to demand an explanation. Zhongyu told his parents he wants to take a second wife. You can't even control a man like Zhongyu who has no foundation. Letting him do such an absurd thing, where does that leave the dignity of our prestigious Zhao family of Jinling?" My mother's back straightened like a pine tree, her voice icy. "Then does my brother want me to divorce him? How can you divorce him? A discarded wife would only invite ridicule. How would father and I maintain face among our colleagues? You used to be our family's pride. How could marriage turn you into our shame?" "Uncle, my mother it's clearly father who broke his promise." Yet now all the blame falls on mother for being incapable. Seeing mother's face grow increasingly pale, I mustered the courage to speak up in her defense. "Children shouldn't interrupt when adults are talking. Didn't your mother teach you manners?" Uncle scolded me harshly. Too aggrieved to speak, I remained silent. My mother patted my head. "Little brother, there's no need to show off your power here. If my family hadn't intended to offer the crown princess position to Minister Zhong back then, I wouldn't have ended up like this. Besides, if he hadn't risen rapidly while my father and brothers declined, he wouldn't dare be so arrogant now. How can you have the nerve to speak to me like this now?" My uncle's face flushed crimson upon hearing this. "Ah, so you blame me for separating you from His Highness? The Minister of Revenue's legitimate daughter is vying for that position. You can only step aside. Besides, she won't tolerate you. I heard His Highness will marry her in the second half of the year. If you couldn't even keep Zhongyu, how could you possibly hold on to His Highness? I once heard my grandfather say that my mother compromised to protect my uncle's official position after he made a mistake. My aunt even knelt before my mother, pleading for a long time. They've probably all forgotten about it by now." My mother snorted coldly. "In any case, Shen Muyun, will not agree to a divorce. You can rest assured." At night, I heard mother murmuring in her sleep, "Ching ching, ching ching. Mother will surely avenge you." Sister's death. Could it really have been an accident? My head aches slightly, as if I've forgotten something. When I was little, I heard mother say that when she first met father, her carriage was stuck deep in the mud. A lean scholar with a boyish face, he stopped to offer his advice. His azure robe was splattered with mud. Yet it couldn't mar his air of refined elegance. In just 1 short hour, he came up with no fewer than 10 ideas, making mother think father was both quick-witted and adorably persistent. So mother refused the marriage alliance with nobility and married my rootless father instead. Only after marriage did she realize those were merely tricks to deceive her. I hope my mother never regretted giving birth to me. On the wedding day, my father was in high spirits. With a continuous stream of bureaucratic colleagues arriving, "Brother your demeanor today reminds me of when you paraded through the streets as the top scholar." Father was slightly drunk, cupping his hands with a smile and saying, "Today I've married the love of my youth, so I've indulged a bit too much. Pardon my impropriety." Zhong Tengxiao was unusually excited today, running around the garden and even pulling my little braid loose. I had no choice but to walk through the crowd of guests with my messy hair to find mother. I overheard someone pitying me. "This second young lady was born at the wrong time. They say when her elder sister died, it was the one who entered the household today who bribed the physician to switch the medicine, causing her death." After the eldest young lady passed, the affection between the couple faded away. The second young miss born into the family was scarcely ever held by Censor Zhong, who instead doted more on his little lover's son. People said the father and son resembled each other. Perhaps he'd been involved with her even before marrying the principal wife. Hearing this, I felt alternating waves of heat and cold coursing through me. As if struggling for breath, biting back the pain, I quickly ran away. Mother entertained her old friend with impeccable manners, drawing sympathy from all present. As today's bride, Yuten showed not a trace of decorum. Merrily entertaining guests like the proprietress of some welcoming tavern, my sister is in poor health, so I naturally have to take on more responsibilities at home. Brother Yu and I shared deep affection since our youth. To be honest, my sister actually came into the picture later, but I can't be bothered to argue about seniority. After all, I'm a few years younger than Muyun, so it's only right that I call her elder sister. Father also pulled Zhong Tengxia forward and proudly announced to everyone, "This is the child left to me by Yunyang all those years ago. Now that the goal has been achieved, the once unsavory past has become a tale worth telling." Amidst the chorus of congratulations, Mother's face remained devoid of joy or sorrow, serene as a Buddha statue. When the Crown Prince arrived, the entire assembly knelt in welcome. Father rubbed his hands together, beaming with joy. "Your Highness gracing our humble abode brings boundless honor, for which we are utterly grateful." With a graceful bow, his mother knelt before him, and he personally helped her rise. Li Jitsi hinted meaningfully, "I heard that Censor Zhong has taken a wife. I must offer my congratulations." The concubine was chosen with betrothal gifts. The wife was welcomed in marriage. Yuten's expression stiffened for a moment before quickly regaining composure. After her father had respectfully seated the Crown Prince in the place of honor, she diligently served fragrant tea with utmost courtesy. Li Jizhi ignored the remark. "This tea is rightfully meant for Madame Zhong, the original wife. Even I, as the sovereign, must not overstep my bounds." Yuten's smile seemed barely able to hold, her expression sullen as she handed the tea to her mother, slightly bending forward. "Please have some tea, sister." Mother took a sip of tea, then spat out a mouthful of black blood and collapsed amidst the crowd's cheerful laughter. Screams and gasps filled the air on the scene. Li Jizhi's previous ease vanished in an instant as he moved with the swiftness of a leopard, embracing his mother before everyone's eyes. Yunyang, summon the imperial physician." His urgent voice carried a fierce intensity. His eyes then turned crimson with rage as he glared at Yuten. "How dare you? You would dare assassinate your sovereign?" "No. I didn't." Yuten trembled with fear, his legs shaking uncontrollably. Father was also stunned by the sudden turn of events. Momentarily torn between checking mother's injuries and defending cousin, the Crown Prince's guards drew their swords in unison, with a metallic sheathing. Their gleaming blades illuminated Yuten's terrified tears and father's horrified face. "Your Highness, please calm your anger. This must be some misunderstanding." Father immediately knelt before the Crown Prince, his hands barely daring to move at his chest, terrified of touching the swords. "Mother," I screamed in shock, collapsing before her in wailing sobs. Li Jizhi let out a cold laugh. "Right and wrong shall be made clear. The Ministry of Justice will give this prince an explanation." "Wronged, Your Highness, wronged." As Yuten was dragged away, she struggled violently, her golden hairpin falling to the ground where it was trampled to ruin by the guards. Her hair was disheveled, her wedding dress as crimson as blood. Like a madwoman, Li Jizhi carried his mother away in long strides. I stood there dumbfounded, watching their retreating figures. Recalling how mother's hand seemed to have squeezed mine just now, suddenly I remembered how she'd sent Lanfeng to fetch fresh chicken blood yesterday. Mother had been unconscious for a full day and night. Li Jizhi kept vigil for a long time, only leaving after the imperial physician assured him it was merely excessive worry and her body wasn't seriously affected. Fearing mother might be hungry, I secretly placed a meat bun from breakfast under her blanket. When I checked that evening, the bun was already gone. Just as I was about to stuff another bun inside, my mother, with her eyes still closed, stopped my little mischief. "Bring me a plain steamed bun instead." I sniffed hard, the lingering scent of meat in the air wouldn't fade. How could I be so clumsy? I'm hardly the warm little jacket my mother deserves. At night, I lay beside mother and quietly recounted what I had secretly overheard during the day. Father had been kneeling outside the Crown Prince's residence to beg for forgiveness for a full day, fainting every time it came to mealtime. The Crown Prince mocked him, a fool who knows nothing but eating. The Ministry of Justice turned the Zhong residence inside out but found no evidence of poisoning. Instead, at Yuten's residence, they found a cloth doll inscribed with Qingqing's name, soaked in dog's blood and pressed beneath 4 large sandalwood chests. The master said this was a soul-suppressing and spirit-imprisoning technique, not only preventing the deceased from ever attaining reincarnation, it could also make the soul forget all past grievances, leaving no resentment or hatred, and no memory of seeking revenge. As I was about to speak further, by the moonlight, I could already see mother's eyes brimming with tears. My heart felt heavy too as I clutched my sleeve to wipe her tears. "Mother, don't be sad, Qin Qin will be obedient, Qin Qin can recite poems, Qin Qin will take care of you. Mother suddenly grasped my hand, her expression grave. No matter what happens tomorrow, don't be afraid, stay close to Lanfeng. The next day, Mother suddenly began vomiting, her face turned ashen, her nails purple, until she finally fell completely unconscious. The imperial physician looked grave and said things I couldn't understand. All I knew was that the steamed bun I'd secretly tucked under the quilt was never touched again. Holding her hand, I no longer received those comforting little squeezes in return. I heard the Crown Prince's thunderous rage as he ordered the Ministry of Justice to torture the suspects. Then commanded that Father too be thrown into the imperial prison, saying the married couple should think together about where the antidote was hidden. I clenched my teeth against the fear, holding Lanfeng's hand tightly to keep my tears from falling. Mother, I'll be obedient. This action brought Li Zicha considerable criticism. As the Crown Prince of a nation, he had intervened for a mere household woman, imprisoning a court official, but the courtiers firmly opposed. The Crown Prince is the foundation of the state, not the slightest mishap can be permitted. Moreover, the Crown Prince was an only child, there was simply no alternative. When Father and Qiuten were released, both men were gaunt and haggard, their temples streaked with white. As they knelt trembling outside the courtyard to express their gratitude, Mother and I were having breakfast with the Crown Prince. We thank your Highness for clearing our names and vindicating our innocence. It was an ignorant servant at home who mistook Thunder God Vine for tea leaves. Fortunately, no major disaster occurred. My loyalty to the sovereign and love for the country can be witnessed by heaven and earth. Common woman, just as Qiuten was about to speak, her father slapped her. I have already disciplined my foolish wife. I beg your Highness for forgiveness. Qiuten looked at her father in disbelief indeed. Her father was a man of such noble and gentle demeanor that he had never even raised his voice at her. What a devoted couple in hardship, Li Zicha remarked, placing a magnolia cake into her mother's bowl while fixing his gaze on her. Does Yunyang regret the choice she made back then? I shrank to the side, unable to taste the food. If Mother were to abandon Father, would she abandon me too? I took advantage of the Crown Prince's distraction and slipped a delicate pink pastry into my mother's hand. I hoped that no matter where she went, she would take me with her. Mother looked at me tenderly and smiled faintly. If your Highness truly cares for me, simply visit the Zhong residence more often, that would be more than enough for this humble heart. My frail willow-like form is unworthy of such deep affection from you. Li Zicha's expression changed dramatically. As if he hadn't anticipated such an answer from Mother, he remained silent for a long time before letting out a cold laugh. This is already the second time. I won't give you a third chance to turn against me. When Mother returned home, Father's gaze at her was filled with humiliation, anger, fear, and wariness. You've failed in your wifely duties, but I won't pursue it further. You may request a divorce yourself. At least this way, we can both save face. Father flicked his sleeve. Unwilling to say more to Mother, though Qiuten no longer appeared arrogant on the surface, his schadenfreude was unmistakable. Even the few white strands among his dark hair seemed to perk up with glee. Zhong Tengxiao had lost quite a bit of weight recently. His once basin-round face had shrunk to the size of a small plate. His eyes, once nearly swallowed by fat, had regained their size. He shot me a glare, fierce as a beast. I widened my own eyes to their limit. Scowling with all the ferocity I could muster and glaring right back, the three of them had ganged up to bully my mother. I couldn't afford to show weakness. Mother gently stroked her flat belly. His Highness instructed me to rest well at the Zhong residence to nurture the pregnancy, so I may bear a healthy son to inherit the family estate. Father's face turned ashen, barely able to stand. You shameless adulteress, how dare you? Qiuten's smug expression vanished instantly as she urgently asked, whose estate does His Highness intend for your son to inherit, this empire, or the Zhong family? I'm not greedy, inheriting this modest household will suffice. Mother finally showed a genuine smile. Don't be in such a hurry, my lord. The cuckold's turn comes to all. This year it's your family's time. For the Son of Heaven to inherit your petty censor's residence, you ought to burn incense and inform the Zhong ancestors, so they may spread the joyous news in the underworld and kneel in gratitude for such divine mercy. Father was hopping mad, pointing at Mother and shouting, adulteress, adulteress, you've gone too far. This is a disgrace to our family, a stain on our honor. Qiuten pleaded tearfully, Yu Lang, you must think of something. Our Tengxiao is the true heir to the Zhong family line. Zhong Tengxiao also began to wail, his cries loud enough to be heard from 2 miles away. Father, shut up. Are you mourning the dead? I stayed close to mother and missed seeing father's furious expression when he roared at Zhong Tengxiao to stop. What a pity. In the dead of night when I was deep in sleep, I saw mother in a white robe, her long hair loose, carrying a sword as she came to my window. I was nearly scared out of my wits, trembling as I shrank under the covers. Mother, yet she reached out to me, gently cradling me in her arms and wrapping me in her outer garment. Shielding me from the pre-dawn chill, mother took me to my sister's grave, where she personally burned the doll that had trapped her soul from reincarnation. I stood outside, held in Lanfeng's embrace. I watched mother kiss Qingqing's gravestone, the wind carrying her tender murmurs. Qingqing, I miss you so much. Your little sister is nearly as old as you were now. Don't be angry, no one could ever replace you. Mother will always remember you. For some reason, I felt like crying. That very night, I dreamed that I had truly become Qingqing, the first time I called him father. Papa shed tears of joy. On the tiger head shoes mother sewed for me, there were huge pearls embroidered. I loved tugging at them most. They took me to a country estate to see little white rabbits and even brought one home. Every day I would feed it vegetable leaves, but on that day, it escaped from its cage. I chased and chased, all the way to the rockery. There I overheard Aunt Kui Yuten discussing with an old woman, saying they should add a year to Cousin Zhong's age to make the timeline match. The old woman suggested feeding Cousin Zhong more, so he'd grow sturdier and could pass the deception. They found me and pushed me and the little white rabbit into the water together. The water was so cold, and it hurt so much inside. No wonder mother forbade me from playing in the water casually. Mother, I couldn't even cry out. Uncle visited again, this time with a joyful smile. I heard that eldest sister is carrying His Highness's child, and I knew at once she had great ambitions. No wonder the crown prince has delayed his grand wedding and hasn't even taken a concubine. His heart must be set on eldest sister. Once she gives birth, she'll rise in status through her child and at least become an imperial consort. Grandmother, whom I hadn't seen in a long time, shed her usual sternness and wore a face full of kindness. Oh, my child, your mother has been worried sick for you, but now that I know you've found a good place, I can rest easy. Yesterday, that heartless Zhong Yu came to our house making a scene, and we drove him out with a stick. Don't worry, our Zhao family will stand by you, but staying in the Zhong household is no good. Those two are vicious at heart. Come home with me quickly and divorce that ungrateful beast as soon as possible. I don't understand why maternal grandfather's family first refused to let mother divorce, then suddenly insisted on it. Wouldn't this bring shame upon our maternal family now, mother? I understand your good intentions, but His Highness has ordered me to stay at the Zhong residence for a while. It's not too late to make things official when the time is right. Yes, His Highness's arrangements must have their reasons. Grandmother nodded repeatedly. This is Nurse Li I've carefully selected for you, the most reliable person imaginable. Not only is she an expert in women's health, but she also has secret recipes for conceiving sons. If only you'd listened to me during your pregnancy, you would have born a son long ago. Stay here and rest peacefully during your pregnancy. Just send for whatever you need. True enough, delicacies like bird's nest and sea cucumber began flowing in like water. I never knew my maternal grandparents' family was so wealthy, yet mother paid little attention to these gifts, not even bothering to store them properly. She simply tossed them in a side room without locking the door. Mother, is there a baby in your belly? Mother's hair was jet black and glossy, smooth as satin to the touch. Mother only needs Qingqing to be enough. Her reply came like a sigh. I dreamed again of becoming Qingqing. While mother kept vigil over my body in a dazed trance, she clasped my icy hand and pressed it against her face. Let mother kiss you once more, my darling. Her lips were scalding as they trembled against my forehead. Mother, I called to her as usual, but there was no response. A child's brief journey becomes a mother's lifelong remembrance. Father, with bloodshot eyes, accused mother. Why didn't you watch Qingqing properly, letting her chase rabbits alone and fall into the water? Mother's tears fell more frequently. It's my fault. I failed to take good care of you. I shook my head desperately. That's not true. It's not mother's fault. I'll search the blue heavens and yellow springs. Qingqing, just wait for me. She crashed headfirst into the little coffin prepared for me, her head covered in blood. Vibrant flowers bloomed across her white dress. Zhong Tengxiao suddenly contracted a strange illness. Countless doctors came and went, all shaking their heads and fleeing with their medicine boxes. Kui Yuten, disheveled and wild-eyed, kept screaming outside the door that my mother had poisoned her. Her shrill cries sounded to me like the desperate screeching of a dying bird. Father came in to placate mother. Yunyang has lost her mind from grief and doesn't know what she's saying. Don't take it to heart, Yunyang. Mother sat inside sipping tea and said with a laugh, "Since I can't see the person, if my sister wants to ask me for the antidote, she'll have to let me see what the symptoms are first." Mother didn't move, so father immediately sent someone to carry Zhong Tengxiao over. His face was swollen as if stung by bees, his complexion ashen like the crumbling plaster of an old house. Grandmother's old servant, Mama Li, stood guard at the courtyard gate like a door god, covering her nose and mouth in disgust as she directed servants to carry the stretcher away. "What filth dares to be brought before our young mistress? Do you dare take responsibility if this disturbs her pregnancy?" Zhong Tengxiao was made to vomit incessantly by the swaying servants. At once, Nanny Li shrieked, "Quick, what are you standing around for? Dig up this dirt and throw it away. This sickly wretch is contagious." Kui Yuten immediately stepped forward to tear into Nanny Li. "You old hag, just wait till I rip that filthy mouth of yours apart." But my mother stood at the doorway, casting a distant glance at Zhong Tengxiao. "Oh dear, this boy, could it be he stole and ate the tonics sent by my family?" The scolding suddenly stopped. Kui Yuten wiped her face, looking somewhat uncomfortable. "Everything in this household belongs to Yu Lang. What's wrong with eating some sea cucumbers and snow frogs? I don't mind these things, but a child's weak constitution can't handle such strong tonics." Hearing it was merely a case of overdoing the supplements, Kui Yuten immediately relaxed. She could simply stop eating them in the future. "Besides, my maternal family has always been frugal. Whenever they get something good, they hoard it in the storeroom, forbidding anyone to touch it. Day after day, year after year, those things grow mold, only to be washed, dried, and stored away again exactly as before. Those items are more poisonous than arsenic. What should we do then? Yun Yang, I know you've always been kind-hearted, please save this foolish boy." Father stepped forward and grasped Mother's hand, his face full of sorrow. "Don't panic, Master. My cousin's son once ate something wrong like this too. A passing immortal elder left us a prescription. I'll go fetch it now. After all, we're family, I can't just stand by and watch him die." The ingredients in that prescription were extraordinarily difficult to obtain. One of the ingredients turned out to be the heart's blood of a closest relative. Father said he could do it, but Kui Yuten refused. With tearful eyes, she said, "Brother Yu is a pillar of the nation. How could we let you suffer bodily harm? I gave him life and raised him, so it's only right that I bear this hardship." Deeply moved, father embraced her and comforted her tenderly. Zhong Tengxiao's health showed no signs of improvement. On the contrary, he gradually found it difficult even to take his medicine. Kui Yuten grew increasingly anxious and went to seek her mother's help, yet her mother calmly summoned Nurse Li. "What's going on? Didn't that miracle doctor promise the medicine would cure him instantly?" Nurse Li also unhurriedly pulled out a dozen prescriptions. The old mistress said the prescription had been safely stored in the cabinet, but when I opened it, there were over 10 inside. "It's been so long I couldn't tell which was the right one, so I brought you the most likely candidate." Upon hearing this, Kui Yuten flew into a rage. She had been utterly exhausted during this period, not only caring for her son day and night but also wounding herself to draw heart's blood for medicine. Now discovering the prescription she'd been taking was randomly concocted, she nearly lunged at us in fury, wishing to tear us limb from limb. My mother, however, slightly furrowed her brows and said, "Why the haste, sister? It's merely some wrongly taken medicine. What's the great fuss? Such violent threats are most unbecoming." Kui Yuten paused, then suddenly understood. "Oh, I see, you lost your own daughter, so now you're taking revenge on me." I saw mother's hand gripping the cup suddenly tighten, her nails turning pale. A moment later, she relaxed her grip, blew on the hot tea, and spoke in a light tone, "As fellow mothers, how could I not understand your pain? The prescriptions from the living immortal are among these dozen or so pages. Take them all. There's still some snow frog and sea cucumber left in the storeroom. You might as well take some too, and try each prescription one by one. Whether you live or die will depend on your own fortune." When Kui Yuten staggered away, mother casually remarked to Nurse Li, "One must live with integrity. Had she not engaged in thieving and sneaky behavior, how could she have become terminally ill?" Nurse Li repeatedly agreed. When parents commit sins, not even the mightiest immortal could save them unless they atone for their karmic debts. Kui Yuten's figure paused at the door before she hurried away even faster. The mansion's physicians began gathering in greater numbers again. Even today a Taoist performs exorcisms, tomorrow a Buddhist monk chants scriptures, and the day after some spirit medium insists on making the child drink incense ash water. Quite the commotion. Nanny Li was quite the busybody, today reporting that Kui Yuten had coughed up blood, tomorrow announcing that father had bruised his head, Our courtyard was filled with laughter and chatter every day. How pitiful is the heart of parents everywhere. Mother leisurely ate her qingtuan, then suddenly paused as the smile faded from her face. The Qingming festival is in a few days, isn't it? Suddenly mother had work to do, gathering mugwort leaves and making red bean paste. Miss, don't upset the baby's chi, Nurse Lee repeatedly advised. Nurse Lee, you've been here for over 2 months now, why are you still talking about baby's chi? Mother found it rather amusing. Miss, you've gone muddled. When was your last monthly cycle? Mother froze in shock. She looked at her belly in disbelief. Impossible, at night. I had that dream again. I live on Green Mountain, and mother comes to see me every day. She wipes my tombstone clean with a handkerchief, just as carefully as she used to wash my face every day. At first, she would still say to me through tears, I shouldn't have bought you that rabbit. I shouldn't have left you alone in the room while I went to bathe, without you. Mother finds each day hard to bear. Then suddenly one day, she said, Ching Ching, mother is actually pregnant. Will you be angry? Do you think mother has betrayed you? Ching Ching, will you be mother's daughter one more time? Come back into mother's womb, and this time I'll take good care of you. I replied to her, yes. Kui Yuten knelt before her mother to atone for her sins, Buddhist prayer beads hanging from her wrist, her body enveloped in the scent of sandalwood. From indiscriminately taking medicines, her figure had become bloated, her complexion sallow, her hair streaked with white. She looked like a woman of 50. Sister, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have caused your daughter's death. I shouldn't have committed such a sin. I'm willing to repay everything. Just spare my child. My Tung Xiao is innocent. He knows nothing of this. Father roared at her in disbelief. Have you gone mad? Kui Yuten ignored him, kowtowing in atonement. I've already lit a perpetual lamp at Changle Temple for the eldest young lady, praying for her peaceful reincarnation as a human in her next life. Why did you kill Ching Ching? Father still couldn't believe the woman lying beside him was a venomous snake. You all dote too much on Ching Ching. The three of you so blissfully happy together. As long as she's around, you never spare a thought for us mother and child. We widows and orphans desperately need someone to lean on. That physician is from my hometown. I asked him to change the young mistress's prescription. Kui Yuten's spirit was broken. Her son's critical illness had struck her too hard. You wicked woman, give me back my Ching Ching. Father grabbed Kui Yuten by the hair, his palm swinging like a cattail leaf fan with a whooshing sound. Mother stood in the courtyard, her fists clenched tightly. Auntie, have you forgotten how you threw me and Xiaobai into the water? As these words left my mouth, everyone in the courtyard turned to look at me in astonishment. Just because I overheard you plotting to alter my cousin's age and pass him off as father's own son, you'd kill me. Kui Yuten trembled violently, her face twisted in terror as she pointed at me. You're a ghost. Tung Xiao isn't my son. He's not 10 years old. Wasn't it you who claimed you got pregnant right after I left and had to marry in haste? Even Aunt Liu was in on your scheme. Father's beard quivered with rage. All these years you've been deceiving me. No wonder you refused my blood when we needed a close relative's heartblood for medicine. No wonder. Guards, take this poisonous woman to the magistrate's office to avenge my son and seek justice. Throw her bastard child outside the city at the Earth God Temple. How could our Zhong family spare any idle coins to raise a bastard? The commotion outside could no longer reach us. Mother bit her lip and crouched down, looking at me with hopeful eyes. Are you Ching Ching? I touched her face. Have you forgotten? Mother, you asked me to come into your belly and be your daughter again. She pulled me into her arms, weeping with joy. Yes, it's my fault. I should have recognized you sooner. Ever since then, Father has been trying to get close to me. Yesterday, he said the weather was nice and wanted to take me kite flying. Today, he suggested dining at the newly opened restaurant in town. Mother refused every single one of his offers. She said belated paternal love was worthless to begin with, let alone when it's just leftovers picked from others. Father, overcome with shame, called out to me from behind Mother. Ching Ching, have you forgotten how you used to love playing horsey with Daddy? Now that I've recalled everything, of course I remember how dearly Father cherished me as Ching Ching, yet I also possess Chin Chin's complete memories. You never even held Chin Chin in your arms. After all, I'm still your biological father. Who else could possibly love you besides me? Father stood outside the door holding the new dress he made for me, peering anxiously. A few days ago, he stood there holding a kite with the exact same expression, joy mixed with a hint of ingratiation. I ate the Qingtuan dumplings Mother made for me, the sweet red bean paste melting on my tongue. Once upon a time, Chinkin had yearned so deeply for her father's love, but after repeated disappointments, she stopped hoping altogether. She remembered running a fever, with her mother keeping vigil all night. While her father couldn't even spare a moment to visit, too busy accompanying Tengxiao on a spring outing to the countryside, he said, "Just a silly girl, why all the fuss?" summoning her courage to speak to her father. She was repeatedly cut off as he scolded her, "No talking during meals or before sleep, hasn't your mother taught you that?" He knew full well that Zhong Tengxiao had repeatedly bullied her, yet turned a blind eye, always dismissing it with a careless smile. "For girls, obedience and gentleness are what matter most. Father, please don't come anymore. In this lifetime, I only wish to be mother's daughter." When the chief eunuch came to announce the imperial decree, both father and I were stunned. Only mother remained expressionless as she packed her belongings. "Let's go, Ching Ching." "Mother, how could I possibly become His Highness the Crown Prince's daughter?" Mother took my hand and led me away, smiling without a word. The most unacceptable part was my father, pinned to the ground by the embroidered uniform guard, stripped of all dignity befitting a high-ranking court official. Impossible, absolutely impossible. I had never seen him weep so bitterly before. I wanted to step forward to comfort him, but was frightened by his hateful and unfamiliar gaze. Heaven has no justice, the ways of heaven are unfair. Time and again, it seems I'm the only one being bullied. Eunuch Ju, who had come to deliver the imperial edict, shouted at him to stop such improper words and actions. "Do you wish to defy the imperial decree?" Father collapsed weakly to the ground, not daring to make another sound. I followed my mother into the palace and only learned about my true origins from the whispers of the palace maids. It turned out the crown prince was in a foul mood. He had been drinking and admiring flowers with friends when he got drunk and started causing a scene. He kept calling for Lady Yun, saying he needed to settle accounts with her properly. His friends exchanged uneasy glances, at a loss for how to handle the situation. In the end, I had no choice but to secretly invite my mother over. According to the crown prince's friends, that day my mother and a drunkard argued so fiercely it seemed the heavens would collapse, each wishing they could tear the other apart. As for how they ended up arguing their way into bed, they dared not listen further. They probably heard plenty, just didn't dare speak of it. At that time, mother had already been sidelined in the Zhong household for quite a while, and upon learning that Tengxiao was father's biological son, she was absolutely furious. In any case, the two of them were like dry wood meeting a blazing fire, and thus I came to be. After His Highness the Crown Prince woke up, he forgot all about the past, and mother simply dusted off her hands and left to avoid further complications. As for how he eventually remembered, I suspect there were some little secrets between mother and the Crown Prince that I wasn't privy to. My mother has been sitting on the bench in the Eastern Palace for 7 days now. Yet she still hasn't seen Li Zicha, yet I heard he knelt before His Majesty for 3 days to beg for that imperial decree. He's clearly here. I often sense him watching us from not far away, but he refuses to show himself. I suspect he's waiting for my mother to swallow her pride first. Mother wasn't anxious at all, eating and drinking well without any discomfort from the pregnancy. I suspect she was waiting for Li Zicha to make the first move in apologizing. Ah, 2 stubborn mules. I'm not like them. This kid knows when to hold on and when to let go. I was playing in the garden that day when Lan Feng suddenly knelt behind me. I turned around, and under the warm spring sun, Li Zicha stood there in a brocade robe of deep black, wearing a jade crown, his beauty like that of an immortal. His face remained sternly serious. "Daddy, hold me." I threw myself at his legs, clearly caught off guard. His haughty facade suddenly faltered, revealing a faint pink tinge to his ears. "What impropriety! This is no way for a princess to behave, and you should address me as royal father." His words remained cold and stern, yet his body honestly lifted me up. I marveled once again at how tall he was. The entire garden now lay beneath my feet. "Where's your mother?" he asked. "My mother is taking her afternoon nap." Since becoming pregnant, my mother had grown rather sleepy. "I'll take you to find her." I was about to say it wasn't necessary, that I could find her myself. When I noticed the urgency in his eyes, after we arrived, he silently sat to the side watching mother sleep. In the end, he had Lan Feng take me out to play. When I returned, I already saw Li Zicha diligently painting my mother's eyebrows, while she asked him with a hint of jealousy, "You're so skilled at this. Could it be that you often paint for women?" Li Zicha looked as if he'd suffered a great injustice. "After all these years, don't you know what kind of life I've been living?" "What kind of life?" "The kind where you get drunk and curse at me. Have you ever spared me a single scolding? They say your silver tongue could negotiate at the frontier." I was about to step in and mediate when the old palace matron said, "They loved bickering like this since their youth. Now as parents themselves, when together they still act exactly like back then. What a quarrelsome pair." "Mother, despite being a remarried woman, was conferred the title of Crown Princess Liangdi. However, there were no other female masters within the Eastern Palace, and Li Ziche's affection for mother was evident to all. Thus, the vast Eastern Palace housed only our family of 4, and our days passed in great harmony. By the way, mother gave birth to a younger brother in winter. Mother was promoted to concubine again. I was quite nervous for a while, as I heard that the legitimate daughter of a prime minister's family was eager to marry in as the principal wife. I went to ask Li Ziche, "Father, I heard you're taking another wife." Indeed, he was preparing for the wedding with great enthusiasm. However, he insisted on marrying mother with all the formalities befitting a principal wife, and demanded that her maternal family make thorough preparations. This sent her maternal family into raptures. Red lanterns were hung along the entire street, and the dowry was said to be 10 times what mother had received during her first marriage. Grandmother excitedly took mother's hand, urging her to support her uncle more, but mother showed no mercy. I observe that my younger brother excels in neither literary nor military arts. The officialdom is full of unpredictable storms. It would be proper for him to retire from the turbulent currents while he still can. Grandfather was about to refute her when mother solemnly added, "Father, you're growing old and frail. It's time to retire and return to your hometown." That evening, mother said to me, "Ching Ching, I hope you'll always live for yourself. Don't let family or kinship pressure you into making choices against your will." The last time I heard news of mother's ex-husband, Zhongyu, was after my younger brother's first birthday celebration. By then, father had already ascended the throne, mother had been crowned empress, and my younger brother had become the crown prince. Zhongyu took another wife, the daughter of a merchant family, who had remained unmarried into her late years due to her plain appearance. A year later, she bore him a son as desired, but no matter how Zhongyu looked at the child, he couldn't shake the feeling the boy didn't resemble him. When colleagues offered congratulations, he could only hear mocking undertones in every word. His paranoia grew heavier by the day, until it reached the point where sleep eluded him night and day. In the final quarrel with his wife, he accidentally struck her dead. Though the other party was merely from a merchant family, they had considerable connections. When they brought charges against him at the magistrate's office, he could not escape punishment. On the day of his exile, I secretly went to see him, ragged clothes, unkempt beard, sitting in the prison cart with his eyes closed. Perhaps by coincidence, he suddenly opened his eyes and looked straight at me. We gazed at each other in silence, and for a moment, my heart ached with sorrow. Though I am now Chin Chin, I was once the beloved Ching Ching cherished by my father. All I could do was instruct the laborious not to mistreat him on the journey. The mountains were high and the road long. More than half of us would never meet again. In a daze, I saw him wipe a tear from the corner of his eye, his cracked lips trembling as he whispered something to me. It seemed to say, "Ching Ching, I'm sorry. I thought, we probably won't meet again in this lifetime."